Happy Thursday, Nasties. Welcome to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton Sports. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zachticum behind the camera. We have a fun show for you today as we're coming to you live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. At 1:20, we'll be joined by Ben Pope from the Chicago Sun-Times. We're going to check in on Connor Bedard Gager here in the Chicago Blackhawks. At 1:40, it's the Red Light District with Joaquin Gage. And at 2:20, probably our best guest so far since we've launched, Reid Wilkins will join us in the studios.
Sweet. Can't wait.
He had a very scary incident yesterday regarding Mr. Gazzola. So we'll get to the bottom of all that with Mr. Reid Wilkins. Probably talk some Elks and Oilers as well. And, of course, we got the flyaway to L.A., presented by the 780. That's coming up in hour 2. But, Gager, you were just on two guys. I told you, please don't talk about the Oilers' defense because Edmonton, we have a problem.
Okay, yeah, we do. I think
Am I being dramatic?
We are being dramatic, but what else? We're dramatic people, and that's we try to find things to discuss. And this has been the hot topic, I think, over the last couple of weeks of training camp. The Oilers D and how excited everyone was July 1st with the signing of this. Oh my gosh, for a team that was already laden with offensive talent and adding what looked like things to really put them over the edge. But at that point, man, the D was, you had Broberg. You weren't too sure what was going to happen with CC. Was there going to be a straight across kind of trade to get someone back that was maybe younger, but the same type of player? We got someone way younger, but it's just you don't know if it's that type of player yet.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I know I wasn't supposed to, but I did talk a little bit about the D situation on two guys. And what I did say was a lot of times, kind of like the thing, if you're out of the playoffs by U.S. Thanksgiving, you're done. Mm-hmm. It takes, unless you're a real blue chipper defensive product, and you saw what happened with Broberg. It took a while, a lot of time in the minors, but it takes to be a consistent NHL defenseman. It's around that 300 game mark, and you could even look to Darnell Nurse that whole time leading up. Once he hit that 300, that's when he kind of, looked like he belonged way more.
Yeah, and we're going to get down to it. I watched most of that game last night. It was a 6-2 loss to the Kraken. They have one more game to go, Gager, and that's tomorrow night. We'll have pre- and post-game, the all-stream pre- and post-game, Tongazola, Matt Cassian, and myself. I'll get going at 7, and then we'll break it down as we get ready for the opening of the regular season on Tuesday. Oilers open up on Wednesday against the Winnipeg Jets. Hit us up on the Nasty Chat. Your thoughts on the game last night on the Oilers defense, or text us at 780-218-9999. Give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. And remember, you can listen to us on iHeart or tune in the radio apps there.
Just laughing. I'm seeing some in the Nasty Chat. Zedmo. 300 games is how many Brown has at 30 years old.
Yeah.
So and maybe you know what you got.
And I'll get to a few things. And please chirp me if you don't agree with me, or just praise me if you do agree. But the Kulak-Brown pairing's been together for a few games now, Gager. Stan Bowman, Jeff Jackson, Chris Knobloch, Paul Caulfield, they're smart hockey men. Well, at least we think they are. You cannot sit there and watch this pairing and think it's a good idea to start next week in game 1 with these two guys, because last night they struggled mightily. And I will say this. I love Brett Kulak. He's going to be a lock.
He's my favorite Oiler.
He's going to be a lock on the third pairing, but even Kulak is struggling mightily. I'm not going to put it all on his partner. They're just two of the goals yesterday against them. One, Kulak's down low. I think Kajula's with him. They leave one guy open. It's a 2v2, but they both go to the same guy. For some reason, Josh Brown's between center and the blue line. Really not doing much. And then on the flip side, Kulak gets caught at the blue line. Brown can't get a stick on the wall there, and the pass goes right into the slot. It's a goal. But Gager, yes, there's not a lot of sexy option. Yes, you signed this guy to a 3-year deal. Yes, we're hearing you bought a house in Edmonton.
We did?
Yeah, but the Oilers are in a Stanley Cup mode right now. I don't care about hurting feelings and all. If Josh Brown's not good enough to be on your team, so be it. Admit you made a mistake. But the way I'm seeing this, it's Kulak-Brown right now, almost in every game we've seen them together. I think they're going to start on Wednesday. I really hope not.
That's a lot. Well, look on the positive side. Here's a guy that didn't have a great camp and he bought a house. Like, that's confidence, right?
Well, it's a 3-year deal.
So it could be 3 years in the minors. Like, that's
it's like the Jack Campbell thing.
It
To a different extent. The money's different. Right?
Money's way different. And Jack Campbell coming in, for the most part, except for people in Toronto, thought that was a pretty good signing, right? Even I, looking back at that, and it's for some reason, every game that I saw Jack Campbell play, he played quite well. I remember when he came in. Okay, we'll get off Jack Campbell. No, I understand. I understand that this can cause a lot of concern, but I'm still. This is still preseason. I'm not completely worried. I think there's like you mentioned, Kulak having a rough game. I am not worried one bit.
No.
Of how Kulak's going to play game one. We know what he's capable. The way he can get around the ice. Like, there's not many guys that can do that. By all accounts, Emberson can do the same. Foot speed with Brown. Yes, there have been instances that I've watched so far that he looked like he was a step behind. But let's see what happens game one. These are preseason's preseason. And we've mentioned how even when you look at Connor and Leon, and to certain points, they don't look like they still got it in first and second gear.
Yeah.
Right? So, and I think there's a little bit to that with everyone through preseason. Tomorrow night will be interesting just to see Vancouver. That's going, there's still some heat there from last year. We'll see probably a lot more regulars in that lineup. And then just getting ready for Wednesday. There's still got to make some moves, and someone's got to sign.
Okay, so this comes in from Loomis. When does it become a concern? Game 1, 3, or 7? And I've always said, take the preseason. Don't get too high. Don't get too low. I'm getting a little low on this decor because last night, for me, there was no excuses. Yeah, your top 3 lines, Gager. Yes, you had a young guy in net who, for the small amount of people that think Olivier Rodrigue should be in the NHL, that's why you need years in the AHL to work on your game, because he was really bad in the second period. He led 4 goals on 5 shots, and one of them was really bad. So it wasn't all on the defense. The goaltending was not good. But you had the top 3 lines. Your top pairing was fine. Darnell Nurse, I know it's his first game, and I said it last week, Gager. There's no more excuses for me for Darnell Nurse. I'll give him this because it's a preseason and he hasn't played a game, right? He's probably a little step behind. But him and Dermott were on for 4 goals against. And on the 5th goal, if you go back and watch it, again, 2v2 in front of the net, I get it. Yeah, they should tie up the sticks, the man. And Darnell Nurse is kind of just above them in no man's land. There's no one around him. And you know what I mean? Like, he's still losing that. So I don't know, man. Rusty's cutting across here. So listen,
yeah, it did look like Darnell thought he was watching in a simulation hockey game there and just watching it. But there's concerns. Yeah. I'm not fully concerned like you are, but I am. There is concern about the Oilers' D and how it's going to look starting the game, starting game 1. It's you have to after no one. We said it before. We've been saying it for a couple weeks, waiting for someone to go grab the brass ring and say, "Yeah, this is my spot,"
and no one has. There's been glimpses of good play from guys, but nothing. And I'm trying to think, have we ever seen, aside from, and it's a completely different position, but Dylan Holloway really, it's always been a forward that's stood out in the preseason for the Oilers. I can't remember at any point. And even last year with Broberg, where everyone was saying, okay, this is his year to step forward. And he was horrendous in preseason. It was terrible what he was putting forward. So who was it? Zedmo again, talking about measuring in the nasty chat. When does it start to become a concern? Or Loomis said that game 1, 3, or 7. I'm gonna look at. I know it's a long time, but this team is good enough to rebound. I'm gonna give it 10 games. Okay, and that's fair. And it's by all counts, I think everybody, and I think we're all going to assume that Travis Dermott is going to get a contract. And sure, he's been fine. tomorrow, when we see the D pairings, they might go with the 6 guys that are probably going to start the season. Gager, is that what you're anticipating? Like, is it going to be Ekholm, Bouchard, Emberson, Nurse, and then probably Kulak, Brown?
Maybe it's the lineup they would prefer to start the season with, and if it doesn't go the way that they hope, maybe then you see a slight adjustments for game 1.
Because if let's say that third pairing has another rough game, Gage. Let's just say, and then come Wednesday they're starting the game. That to me is showing that you're not going on what you're seeing. You're going on what the contract is. You brought him in for 3 years. By all accounts, he's a good guy. And listen, this is never personal. We're breaking down his game on the ice, and I bet he's a great guy. He's physical. He's going to stand up for his teammates, but at the end of the day, if he's not good enough, and he's shown he's not good enough right now, is one game going to change your mind? Probably not. So for me, and I thought Dusty made a great point on the morning show where he said they went out and signed Perry. They signed a lot of guys they probably didn't need to. And they left the defense kind of like, oh, we'll bring in Josh Brown. We'll bring in re-sign Troy Stetcher. We'll bring this Emberson kid that's, being deemed by many as a savior, and we don't know if he's going to be that guy. But at the end of the day, you have a bunch of 6-7 defensemen looking to play in your top 4, and that's a problem.
It's not always, the on-ice product is the most important, but there are off-ice things that I think are just as important throughout the course of an 82-game schedule and a longer playoff run, and I think there's a lot of intangibles that Corey Perry brought.
Yeah.
And then that's the reason why you saw him get picked up so early. Funny text, 780-218-9999 from Big Dave mentioning the house that Brown bought. Big Dave states, I hope the house Brown bought is a mobile home. So travel in between Bakersfield and Edmonton, I guess.
Yeah, and
that there Clarkson RV.
And you said 10 games, so let's say the Oilers are, let's go with 6-3-1. Okay, they're playing overly good, but they're allowing a lot of goals. Are you gonna? And let's say
a lot of goalie.
Probably blame the goalie, but I'm not concerned about the goaltending, and I'm not concerned about the forward group. So if there is issues early on, do you at all look at splitting up Ekholm and Bouchard?
You might have to at some point.
Yeah.
You'll probably see it. Like nothing. This isn't Moses coming down the mountain with the lines etched in stone, right? There are going to be changes throughout the year. I think I believe that one point throughout the season they did try to split them up, and it just didn't work. And the games become too important, right? And you have to go back to and see what works. Maybe the Oilers, if they're fortunate enough to have a healthy blue line like they did last year, you don't really have to change up much. It's when there's the bumps and bruises start, or someone has to, God forbid, someone gets injured for a longer period of time. Then you have to split things up and see what you guys have to start playing with different people. Right?
I was thinking of this last night because if you go Bouchard and Nurse, they've played together, they're familiar. Ekholm, if you put Emberson, Ekholm's probably a better fit because he's older. He's going to cover up a lot of mistakes.
Ekholm would be a better fit with Emberson. For sure.
So who would you have with Kulak if you were starting? Let's say the Friday was the first regular season game. Who would you have with Kulak?
Stetcher. I have him with Stetcher. I like how both very mobile guys. And I want to see more of Stetcher. His game intrigues me. He's quick. Like everything hard passes, like everything's like full out. I think there's something there with Stetcher.
I'm not against that. Dermott's a guy that everybody's high on right now, and he's an interesting option as well. Can play both sides. But I liked what Struddy said about Stetcher. Like, you know what he brings. He's limited. But there's a little bit of chaos in his game. Yeah. Right? Like, he's kind of like, when you think of him, he's kind of like, you see him kind of going all over the place. And like you said, the first game he took 3 penalties.
I know. Like, the only thing I didn't like it because I wanted to see more of him because he got around the ice so well. And you could see there was communication with him. There was I remember it perfectly because there was a switch involved where he had to switch with the forward and then the D partner, and he was orchestrating the whole thing. Like, he was moving around to get back to the front of the net, making sure everyone was covered. That's the sign of a confident veteran defenseman, right? That's what you want. You don't want timidness, I guess. It's not the best word to say as a defenseman, but he knew right away what he had to do to correct the mismatch on the ice, and eventually got back to where it was supposed to go because one of the switches didn't work. So that's why I want to see more Sturgeon.
No, for sure. So here on EST Afternoons, we're going to give the Oilers D-Corps 10 games, Gager.
Well, yeah.
Then all bets are off.
You might give them 3, but
I might lose my mind after Friday if I see Kulak and Brown again, because what else do you want to see? Because it is definitely not working. Maybe Kulak Stetcher works. Maybe Kulak Dermott works. Maybe Kulak Emberson works. You just don't know. But I'd be shocked if the Oilers brass is not looking elsewhere and seeing what they can do, because it could work out. It could not work out. I know it's the preseason. Like Justin Bulgoni says, preseason means nothing. Yes, I agree with that. The 2008 Detroit Lions went 4-0 in the preseason and then proceeded to go 0-16 in the regular season. But we are watching these guys in real time, and yesterday was more NHL lineups, and the struggles for the same players we're talking about have continued. So for me, why is that switch going to happen next Wednesday? The games mean more. There's going to be more pressure. So for me, that is a concern. We'll continue the Oiler talk as we roll through our show here. It is 1:19 on Thursday afternoon. Coming up next, we're going to get to Chicago and preview Connor Bedard and his Blackhawks here. His second year, a little bit of an injury last year, but still put up impressive numbers. So we'll get the scoop from Chicago with Ben Pope and, of course, Red Light District at 1:40. And we're still about 50 minutes away, I'd say, Gager. Probably closer to an hour from the EST flyaway to LA. We'll get another qualifier. That's all coming up next here on EST Afternoons. Keep the nasty chat messages coming. Text us at 780-218-9999. We're back after the break here. Zach with an update.
NHL preseason continues with the Red Wings facing off against the Leafs. The Devils battle the Flyers, and the Avs play the Golden Knights. In the NFL, Browns running back Nick Chubb returned to practice for the first time since week 2 of last year due to knee injuries that threatened his career and required multiple surgeries. Thursday night football action sees the Bucks out in Atlanta to face the Falcons. Be sure to make your way down to the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for the action to hang out with Lieutenant Eric and to have a chance for some NFL merch. Kickoff is at 6:15. In baseball, it's a lone wild card game between the Mets and the Brewers. Winner of that game moves on to the division series. Just after the break, EST Afternoons continues. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as newborn 8-pound, 6-ounce Mitch Lewicki. You can picture grown-up Mitch, or teenage Mitch, or bearded Mitch, or whoever you want.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, Park Mazda.
1:23. We're back here on EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Zachticum behind the camera. We just we're talking a lot about the Oilers defense. I might have been a little over dramatic in that segment, but that's what.
That's okay.
That's okay.
You're getting excited. It's we're right around the corner, man. It's coming.
If they lose tomorrow again and the deep pairings are not very good, I'm going to lose it on the post game. It's preseason.
Don't watch them. Doesn't that new show come out tomorrow? Does it come out tomorrow? The
Amazon.
Yeah. So
did you see the full clip of Connor? Oh,
yeah.
I think Jay Milne said he's got some street cred now. That's gangster.
Oh gosh, yeah. That's and I mean I said it before. When you got your big dog yelling like that, it reverberates throughout the whole locker room. And I mean everybody, guys that played, guys that didn't play, coaching staff, like that. Everyone hears that stuff, right? And even what got me listening to it was the silence, because sometimes you'll get other guys speaking too. No one said a word.
Yeah, everybody's just like, ooh, if this guy's mad, like, we better step it up. But yeah, we're going to switch gears. We'll get back to the Oilers talk here shortly, but we're going to check in on the Chicago Blackhawks with Ben Pope, the beat reporter for the Hawks from the Chicago Sun-Times. Ben, how's training camp been so far for you?
Oh, pretty good. Getting through it. Just ready for next week. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, always a pleasure talking to you, Ben. You always have some great feedback on the Chicago Blackhawks. Let's start with Connor Bedard in his rookie season. He had 61 points in 68 games. Of course, he missed some time with the injury. What are the expectations for Bedard coming into year two, and who is he kind of lined up with to start the season with?
Well, when you look at kind of players of his caliber who have come in and had the kind of rookie season that he did over the past 20 years or so, a lot of them have not really, improved their point production that much in year two. It's kind of the whole reason why everyone fears the sophomore slump so much. So Bedard's going to be trying to kind of defy that pattern this year. And there's a lot of reasons to believe that he'll be able to. Obviously, just the way everyone else coming into their second year does. He knows the league more, knows what he can and can't get away with, just has a better idea of what to expect going up against various different teams. And he also has a better supporting cast now. That was the Blackhawks' top priority this summer. And while they're probably not going to be a playoff team or anything close to that this year, they do have a little bit more competent forwards around Bedard in the top six. And right now it's looking like Tyler Bertuzzi and Teuvo Teravainen, the two highest profile summer signings, will probably start out as his wingers. Taylor Hall coming back from ACL injury and Philip Kurashev, who he played the majority of last season with, are also in the mix, and he probably will see some time with them as well. But Bertuzzi and Teravainen have skill sets that complement him really well. Bertuzzi with his kind of scrappiness and ability to get to rebounds when puck battles, and Teravainen as a pass-first guy with comfort level playing with a star center and Sebastian Aho when he was in Carolina, and also a little bit more responsible on the defensive end. So those guys should help out Bedard, and then also just his improving experience and everything going into his year two should increase the expectations.
Luke Richardson coached this year. I mean, last year had some injuries. Obviously, Taylor Hall right away. What's his message to the team? And it seemed like when you watched the Chicago Blackhawks, obviously they were trying to stay in games. They were a little bit, I don't want to say overly defensive minded, but do you see Luke with the players that they've added this year changing the style that the Blackhawks play a little bit?
Well, when Bedard missed those 6 weeks, they definitely played very conservatively then, but I don't know if it was necessarily a defensive strategy outside of that. It was more they just didn't have a lot of talent on any part of the ice other than Bedard to work with. So we'll see as far as tactical adjustments. I know they've been working on the power play a lot this week in training camp and trying to maybe spring their wingers a little bit more on the counterattack. One thing that they do have relative to a lot of the rest of the league is a lot of speed. So taking advantage of that a little bit more and creating more breakaways and odd man rushes is something that they're hoping to do. But for Richardson, it's really just the question is, how can he do now that he has a competent roster to work with? I mean, his objective the past couple of years is been to accelerate individual development and just keep morale up and foster a positive culture. And he's done that. He's very well liked by his players and staff. But now it's a little bit more about can he start to get some wins? I mean, you're certainly not going to expect this team to be 500 or anything, but if he can get to 30 wins, 32 wins, something along that line after being at 26 and 23 wins the last 2 years, that's kind of a reasonable amount of improvement that you would expect considering the amount of improvement they made to the roster. So we're going to start to get a better sense of his ability to kind of master the in-game strategy and X's and O's side of things beyond just the human side of coaching, which he's already done very well with.
Ben Pope from the Chicago Sun-Times joining us here on EST Afternoons with Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage. Ben, a couple additions on the back end that are really going to help a team that needs some veteran leadership. They brought in Alec Martinez and TJ Brody. What do these two players bring to the Blackhawks?
Yeah, two veteran guys who've been around a lot. So far, it's looking like Martinez will be with Seth Jones, and TJ Brody will start out with Alex Vlasic as the top four on opening night. And that's interesting because Vlasic and Jones had so much success together last year. They were one of the other few bright spots with this team. So, but Richardson feels good about splitting them up and thinks that Martinez and Brody will each complement them well. And I know Brody worked on his skating this summer after that kind of took a little bit of a step back last season in Toronto. And then Martinez has obviously been around a lot and is a leader in the locker room, contributing in that way. So it definitely adds some more depth to the defense and just pushes everybody else down. We saw the effect of that with Kevin Korchinski being sent to Rockford yesterday after spending the entire season last year in the NHL. And that's kind of what they envision when bringing in this depth, is it would allow them to give their prospects more time to marinate in Rockford, their minor league affiliate, before kind of throwing them into the fire at the NHL level. So that's sort of the idea behind bringing in those two veterans on defense.
Nick Foligno was named captain of the Blackhawks, and we're no strangers here in Edmonton, knowing the passing of the torch of the captaincy is just a matter of time. You see all the players. I mean, a lot of these guys are north of 30. Is it just? Could you see the C being transferred most likely next year to Bedard, or just with the character guys that they have, the Maroons and things like that? Is this like a learning point for him still? I mean, it is his team basically, but before he gets to that level where he's wearing the captaincy, is this another kind of learning curve for Connor Bedard to become the leader that the Chicago Blackhawks probably want him to become?
Yeah, definitely. It's just something he's going to have to grow into as he matures. He's not a particularly vocal guy, I wouldn't say right now. He's fairly reserved. He spends so much more time on the ice after practice than everyone else, just working on his own skills, that he's not in the locker room with everybody as much. So I think it's just a thing where it's just something he's going to have to grow into. And I think they realized that last year, and it's not a knock or a bad thing at all. It's just his personality. And there really was no question that even last year, Foligno was the de facto captain of this team. He's just by far the most vocal guy, and kind of organizing team dinners and all of that was just naturally falling to him. So a pretty obvious choice to be the captain. And he signed that 2-year extension last season, so it'll carry him through 2026. And I would imagine he'll hold the C for these next 2 years and then potentially pass it on to Bedard in summer 2026. Probably the most logical timeline. But it doesn't seem like they're really going to change the approach too much from last year in terms of the leadership responsibilities. Because Seth Jones, Connor Murphy also were alternate captains last year, and I don't think they're really going to change the dynamic too much. And then, as we talked about, guys like Taylor Hall and Alec Martinez will also be vocal. So more just kind of a nominal thing, an honor to give to Foligno. And I don't know if inside the team itself it's going to really have that huge of an effect, considering he was basically already functioning as captain.
Ben, at this time of the year, every team's goal is to make the playoffs. For some, it's more realistic than others. What are the expectations for Chicago this year going forward after a tough year, mostly due to injuries last year and a really young roster?
Yeah, as I mentioned, talking about Luke Richardson, I think just getting out of the league basement is really what they need to do this year. I mean, they're not going to be a playoff team if they can even just play meaningful games in the second half of the season, maybe hang around the outskirts of the playoff bubble. That would be a pleasant surprise and it'd be really valuable experience for Bedard and some of the other young guys to play in those higher stakes games, but really just to be more competitive in general, not only in terms of wins and losses, but just in terms of having closer games even when they do lose. Is kind of what they're looking for. I don't think anyone is letting their optimism get too out of control and thinking about playoffs this year. But just to kind of get out of the Sharks tier of the world would be an important step forward.
Another former Oiler, Laurent Brossoit, believe still injured a few more weeks. When you look at the goaltending and when he can come back, do you look at this as more of a platoon type system with these guys, or is it, has Luke Richardson kind of said it's more first up, best dressed, and go with the guy that's hot?
Yeah, I think that's the distribution between Brossoit and Mrazek once Brossoit comes back will be kind of to be determined. I know they don't want Mrazek playing quite as many games as he had to last year. He stayed healthy through all of that and had one of the best years of his career, but considering he has had groin problems in the past, I think they want to reduce his workload a little bit, and that was part of why they signed Brossoit this summer. But with him currently sidelined, I think he's supposed to be back in a few weeks. We'll probably miss the first handful, maybe 3 or 4 games of the season. They'll probably keep using Arvid Soderblom, who struggled as a backup last year, in that role for now, and then send him to the AHL when Brossoit is cleared. I know they're in Edmonton that third game of the year, and that's a back-to-back with Winnipeg, and I think that's right around the time Brossoit is supposed to return, but I think it's more likely than not that Soderblom would have to play one of those two on the back-to-back. But then beyond that, it's just going to be kind of the hot hand, but I think they will try to keep the distribution roughly 50-50 unless something really surprising happens.
Ben, great breakdown on the Chicago Blackhawks. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon to join us. I'm sure we'll have you on during the season, but enjoy the weekend and the start of the season next week.
Yep, thanks so much for having me.
That's Ben Pope, beat reporter for the Chicago Blackhawks from the Chicago Sun-Times. Great breakdown. They did bring in a lot of players.
Veterans.
Teravainen, Mikheyev, who's inconsistent. We saw him a lot in Vancouver. Bertuzzi, like you mentioned, Maroon, Greg Smith, Alec Martinez, TJ Brody. It reminds me of the Oilers when they were going through that decade of darkness. I'm not saying they're going through that, but it's just they would bring in like 6-7 vets. Yeah. Most of the time it didn't work out, but I don't mind like the Martinez. I think is a great addition.
They've got a few. Well, Martinez, Brossoit. Is there any other? That's it for Stanley Cup rings on that team. Oh, Maroon. He's got a bunch. So they have that. I think it's important to have that pedigree in the locker room.
Sure.
And it's a different time, but I like it. I like the fact that they're surrounding their eventual, hopefully, superstar with some veteran guys that can kind of just take the load off.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, I asked the C question mostly because of just Connor yelling, because Bedard seems like he's cut from the same cloth, very soft spoken and things like that. It would, I mean, I'd be surprised if he ever came in and blew his top like that so early in his career. But I'm sure the fire burns with those guys just as much. And I'm looking forward to see Connor Bedard in his second year, and if he can kind of take that next step of not only being a great offensive player, but a little bit more defensive minded too, because you can't outscore your problems.
If he plays 82 games, he's going to be close to that 90-100. You think in his second year? Because Ben brought up. He was kind of doing comparables, and there's always that sophomore slump.
Yeah, well, with certain players,
not all.
And do you consider Connor Bedard a generational talent?
No. I think he's elite. I think he's going to be.
He's
great.
An elite player.
Yes, but he's not Connor. He's not Crosby.
Is he? I don't even think he's Matthews. We don't know yet. I guess
he might.
You think?
He might, because he has a shot, and he's gonna get that man strength eventually, and all that. He's gonna get a better team as the years go on, and I just think 61 points in 68 games last year. I think he's gonna be around that 80 to 100 if he stays healthy all year.
If what they say is true, like playing with Bertuzzi and Teravainen's a really good player, man. I've always really liked him. That's a guy that can get him the puck, and Bertuzzi's kind of that, reckless abandon kind of looks like he just picked up his gear from Played Against Sports. I like that the makeup of that line. I think could equal some success for him offensively, but again,
a lot better than he had last year.
Lot better than he had last year. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Where do you see Connor Bedard's point totals, Zachticum? Do you have and let's ask our listeners and the people watching on the YouTube channel, the Nasty Chatter, 780-218-9999. If Connor Bedard's healthy for 82 games, he's going to surpass 82 points, I would think.
Well, he's ranked near, at least TSN had him top 35 or something like that for the upcoming season or on the NHL player list. He was pretty high up there, but I mean, he's got the hype around him, and he played with Kurashev on that first line. He was not playing with very good highly,
offensive
touted and offensive players. They are good players in their own right, but definitely not first liners. And he had 61 points in 68 games last year. He had a lot of opportunities to score. He got him on a bunch of rollers. I could see him pushing 70 or 75. I was talking about it with Trev, and I was kind of doubting it a little bit, but then I thought in my head a little bit. I'm like, man, he's playing with better players this year, like Hall, and then Bertuzzi, of course, had those pieces brought in, as Ben Pope said, to help Bedard, and he's only going to increase his scoring in his sophomore year. I don't see any slump or anything from him, especially a player that skilled.
Yeah, I see him if he's healthy and the team stays healthy, Gager. I think he's going to score a point per game. I think he's that talented. Remember last year, the Oilers rolled him, but he scored the first goal of the game, and it was an absolute beauty.
Yeah, I think he actually caught, because it went over the glove of Skinner, I believe, and I think he caught him off guard a little bit of how he was able to. He does that pull and shoot so fast.
Yeah.
And it just changed the angle so much, and it comes off his stick like a cannon.
Yeah. He's got a hell of a shot. Penner's Pancake says, I see him as point per game range right now, but he'll probably pass the like of Jack Hughes in a couple of years. Yeah, that's not bad.
Think more than Jack Hughes? Oof, that's
Jack Hughes is a stud.
I consider Jack Hughes closer to McDavid than he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's great. Suffered with some injuries last year as well, and the team wasn't they were that team that went to the playoffs. They're a really young team, and last year everybody expected him to take the next step. Instead, they took a step back. So they fixed their goaltending, though. We'll see if they can get back there. But that's a fun team to watch with Jesper Bratt and Nico Hischier and all those characters out in New Jersey. But coming up next, we got to get to the Red Light District with our guy Joaquin Gage, and in hour 2, Reid Wilkins, and we're going to give away another qualifier for the EST Flyaway to LA presented by the 780. That's all coming up here on EST Afternoons. First up, here's Zach with a sports update.
In NHL preseason action tonight, the Red Wings play the Leafs, the Devils face the Flyers, and the Avs meet the Golden Knights. In the NFL, Saints head coach Dennis Allen confirmed that Taysom Hill has fractured his ribs. He sustained the injury Sunday against the Falcons. Elsewhere, Browns running back Nick Chubb returned to practice for the first time since week 2 of last year, which had him out due to a knee injury that threatened his career and required multiple surgeries. Thursday night football action sees the Bucks out in Atlanta to face the Falcons, and be sure to make your way down to the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for the action to hang out with Lieutenant Air. Kickoff for that game is at 6:15. And in baseball, it's a lone wildcard game tonight between the Mets and the Brewers. The winner moves on to the divisional series, which goes tomorrow. Right after the break, it's Red Light District here on EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and you're up to date.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton, 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Joaquin.
You don't have to put on the red light. Those days are over. You don't have to sell your body to the night.
Joaquin.
You don't have to wear that dress tonight. Walk the streets for money. You don't care if it's wrong or if it's right.
Joaquin.
You don't have to put on the red light.
Joaquin.
You don't have to put on the red light.
Joaquin. Joaquin. All right. That's the best intro on this station. I don't care what anyone says. 146 here. It's EST Afternoons. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, Zachticum. Keep the messages coming on the nasty chat. Text us at 780-218-9999 and give us a thumbs up. We're at 33 right now. Good old Steve McIntyre, Marty McSorley.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Nice.
Gager, take it over.
Yeah, buddy. So last night, the Oilers did play, and I didn't watch a lot of the game. I listened to a lot of it, and it's a different experience when you listen to a hockey game on the radio, just without the visual, and the hearing about Olivier Rodrigue, and it was hard for me to hear, because it brought me back to training camps where you came in and you kind of, the writing was kind of on the wall, but there was just that desire to impress and leave that impression and know that, you know what, I'm gonna equip myself well at this.
Yeah.
And if anything happens, I want to be first in their minds and know that they have someone coming. And just, you want to leave on a good note. And I think looking at his past work, like I pulled up Olivier's past stats, and he's been in Bakersfield for a few years now. And what really jumps off the page to me is every year the numbers get a little bit better, right? And last year, 37 games played. He had a 916 save percentage, 2.73 goals against. Like, this guy's coming along. And I think just the fact that Pickard got a little banged up, you get that little extra, there's the door. It's not completely open, but you can see the light a little bit, right? So this is an opportunity for you. And he gets out there, and it it just doesn't go well for him. And I know you're facing some NHL shooters now, and the game's a little bit quicker. Things happen a little bit faster. Guys can pick their spots a little bit better. But just overall, I know how he felt in that game, going, oh my gosh, like this is probably my last game that I'm going to be playing in. I'm going to be down in Bakersfield, and I just feel bad about myself. I know what those are like, but I really want to see how he rebounds from this. You know, this is a very huge learning moment for young Olivier Rodrigue to refine his game and make sure that when he gets another shot like this, he takes advantage of it. Because look, he's, from all accounts, like he's looking like a really good minor league goaltender that is on the right path. But like in life, buddy, sometimes there's speed bumps in the road. And it's just how you handle those speed bumps and what you do to prepare yourself for your next opportunity. And hopefully, and this was just me last night going, oh my gosh, I had this exact same thing kind of happen to you. Got into Dallas, the end of camp. Things were going pretty good for me. And I just got lit up by Modano and Russ Cornell. It was awful. And I got sent to the minors 2 days later. But it does work out. But I want to see the bounce back of the Oilers, basically third goalie.
It's amazing that, like, Modano, man, like that guy was a star. Like it's truly amazing. But to be fair, if you look at all the goals, you're not going to put them all on Olivier Rodrigue. There's one you'd want back that kind of went under the arm and squeaked in, and sure. But overall, he's been a really good goaltender.
Yeah, he's been really good. And I mean, you can really dissect these goals. Like I to be quite frank, I didn't like the positioning on a lot of them.
Okay,
I thought there was times when he could have took his ice back a little bit more, and even on the one you're talking about that squeaked through the arm there, I don't know if he had to be that far out too, right? Just top of the crease. He moves well, but overall, I'd like him to be just a little bit more aggressive with his positioning, and you probably would have found that some of those pucks just would have hit him. Yeah,
and it's. We shouldn't criticize him on one game because he's been a really good AHL goaltender.
No, like I said, like these numbers every year from 21-22, he went from an 8.86 the next year to a 9.12 to the next year to a 9.16, and that's playing more games too. Like that's not playing less. So obviously he's learning as he goes here. And I mean, if we really look back at Stuart Skinner, there were times when he. You know, there was question marks, but he went down and excelled at every level until he got his chance. So, and I think there is something to having three good goalies in an organization too. Like you never know what can happen. Look at Toronto; their struggles with goalies getting injured. Knocking on wood for the Oilers that doesn't happen, but to have someone that's capable is a very big benefit.
And at 24 years old, it's okay that he's still there. Do you know what I mean, Gager? Like, I think because you saw it last year and you've seen it a bit this year. It's a small group of fans and people that are asking that Olivier Rodrigue should be in the NHL. But yesterday, and again, it's one game. You don't want to judge him too hard, but he might be ready halfway through the season or next season. And that's okay at 25 years old for a goaltender.
Well, as a 24, 25-year-old goaltender, you don't want that.
No, of course not. No.
I mean, when I was 20, I just wanted to play in the NHL, and that was it. I didn't want to go to the minors anymore. I was too good. I wasn't, but that's what I thought anyway. But yeah, but this is again.
Yeah.
This is and it's a metaphor of life too, right? Maybe you're not where you want to be right now, and no one's going to just hand it to you, and it shouldn't be handed to you. You got to earn it. And from what just looking at certain numbers with this kid and what I've heard from people around the organization is that he's doing everything correctly. So let's give the kid a little bit of a break last night. Young goalie going into a situation where maybe just trying to grip the paddle a little bit too hard.
Yeah, and he also sees Calvin Pickard, 32 years old.
It's right there, man.
He's right there. Like he's 1 year away from being the Skinner's guy.
Yeah,
is his running mate, and he's going to play probably a little bit less. But I think I think they're fine. And yeah, and it's okay to criticize. Yesterday wasn't a good game. And you're the former goalie, and you said you didn't like a lot of the positional play and that's fair. And he's going to work on that. He's going to be the main guy in Bakersfield. Pickett's coming back from injury. He's probably good to go, but he's that guy. If anyone goes down, he's coming up. Gager.
And dude, if the Oilers could actually have 2 homegrown number 1 guys eventually, like I don't know if that's ever happened.
Yeah.
Except maybe Nashville's had some good success with their young goalies coming in and replacing the next guy.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But I'd like to, I might have to do a deep dive into, if you know by hand, 780-218-9999, homegrown goaltenders and eventually knocking off the king. I'm trying to think. Buffalo, they had a good stretch there too with, I think it was Hasek, and then it was Biron, and then Miller,
yeah,
and Norinen. Yeah, that's interesting. But if they could do that, if the Oilers can do that, you got to hand it to not only the players but the coaching staff a little bit, and give Dustin Schwartz a little bit of props here.
Yeah, Rodrigue drafted in 2018 in the second round, 62nd overall. So it's a pretty high pick. Like when you
very
look at
high
it,
pick.
yeah, so
very high.
And that would be great. You have 2 guys in your organization that are 1-2, and you drafted them both. I think it's rare to see that.
Very rare.
Yeah, I can't even think on top of my head if there's a team that has that right now. But no, that was the red light district, as Gager's talking about Olivier Rodrigue, and give the kid a break. Stop being so hard on him. I don't know if you were watching yesterday, but Florida was playing Tampa Bay. And there's an AHLer named Josh Davies from the Florida Panthers. Clean hit on Victor Hedman. Clean.
Oh, yeah.
So then Kucherov drops the gloves, attacks him. Why? And then after Morgan Geekie leaves the bench, he got suspended for 1 preseason game. It just came down. And he pummels this guy. Listen, I get protecting your star players, but hockey is physical. There's something beautiful about clean hits, Gager. Why every time there's a clean hit does that player have to get beat up or drop the mitts and fight? It's a clean hit.
Okay, let me just answer the first part. It's a preseason game, and some guy like hits your star. Okay. So yeah, I understand the jumping side of things, and just go look. You don't do that. Okay, so I get that, but granted, the fact that like Trouba, who did he hit? Really, I think it was Kadri, just blew him up. And everyone was like, oh, 5-10 games right away, and everyone's jumping. It's a clean hit. Yeah. Like just take the hit. There's unless you see a stick come up or a chicken wing and see it, and the guy's laying there, and there's probably blood on. Maybe then, but half of the hits that guys get, it does drive my bus a little bit when these guys. It feels like you can't hit anymore because now you're scared of some guy jumping you because you laid a guy out. It's almost you're policing too much.
Yeah.
And hitting, you hit him too hard, time to fight or do something. I mean, they don't even fight afterwards. But yeah, it's ridiculous.
You make a good point because this guy's an AHL guy trying to make a name for himself, but it was a fair hit. It was clean. Hedman got up. Like, why does he got jumped by Kucherov, who's not going to do much?
No, but that's why. It was preseason, and it was an American League guy. I wish if you had the time machine and go back, and if it was an NHLer to hit him, I wonder if Kucherov even does it at that point.
If it's Trouba. Does Kucherov attack Trouba? Probably not.
Maybe he goes up and talks to him very sternly.
But I'm just so like, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just tired of guys throwing clean hits. Okay, granted, regular season. And then you always have to fight. Because Connor McDavid takes a big hit, and he's clean, and he's fine. I get policing, and I get taking care of him, but that's when there's in scrums, and you're doing dirty things. But a clean hit is... And I bet you Connor McDavid would be like, yeah, it's a good hit.
Yeah, he would. But, I don't think it should be done all... Like, if it's... You're talking about something different. It's a star... If it's a normal guy, is there different rules for that?
That's what I mean.
You don't want guys taking runs at your star players. I don't like the fact that you jump, but sometimes if it depends where you feel the game's at too.
Yeah.
I think too. If it's getting to be a very physical, chippy, a lot of stuff after the whistle, there's guys going to the box on a consistent basis, maybe then it's hard not to get involved at that point when your big dog gets hit. So.
And it's two ways because
I'm completely on the fence here now. This is
no, you're
terrible.
right, because it's two ways, because let's say the Oilers, it was a clean hit on McDavid and the Oilers did nothing, then everybody like, oh, the Oilers are soft.
I know. I think I like the old Hammurabi eye for an eye kind of stuff, man. Like when I played, it was different. I remember Dennis Bondvie. I think I've told this before, but like someone hit. It was in the minors, but we had some skilled guys, and they were taking liberties at some guys, and Dennis went by their bench and said, "You keep this up, I'm doing something to," and he pointed to a different player, their star guy.
Yeah,
like if you keep doing that, he's mine, right? And it's like, wow.
I like that though.
Yeah, because then it goes, okay, if I'm going to go out there and act like an idiot, I'm going to be the reason that my star player sits for the next 8 hours in a dentist chair. Like, you got to, that's how it was policed, kind of a little bit more. So I like when that type of stuff happens. I would always tell George that.
Yeah. It's an interesting conversation.
When George was young.
It depends if it's a star, if it's a bottom six, if it's it's so interesting because like you said, like you have an argument for kind of each point here. It's kind of
I mean, it depends on the player too, right? Yeah. If Lomberg goes and cracks McDavid with a borderline hit, then you got to grab him.
There's a response. Yeah.
But I think what would be more beneficial is if you go and grab like Huberdeau or Kadri because of that.
Because then you're not taking a penalty.
Exactly.
All right, that does it for hour one. Big shout out to Ben Pope from the Chicago Sun-Times as we previewed the Blackhawks. We had the Red Light District with Joaquin Gage as he discussed Olivier Rodrigue. And let's just be patient. It was one game. It's not the end of the world. And he's an interesting guy at 24 years old. And will probably be on this team going forward starting next season. Coming up in hour two, it's the EST Flyaway to LA. Presented by the 780. That's coming up along with the one and only Reid Wilkins right here in studio as he had a very scary incident regarding Tom Gazzola. And we'll get to the bottom of all that in hour two here on EST Afternoons.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Few of us can say that we're over 60 and still hot, but Mr. Mike's Burger can. And to celebrate over 60 years of Mr. Mike's famous burger, you're invited to taste history for only $8.99 at Mike Burger Madness. Savor the original flame-grilled Mike Burger on their signature garlic French loaf for a limited time. Dine-in only price of just $8.99. Sides extra. It's Mr. Mike's Mike Burger Madness, and you'd be mad to miss it. Offer ends September 30th. Eat locally, enjoy casually.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf, oh sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
NHL preseason continues with the Red Wings against the Leafs, the Devils facing the Flyers, and the Avs meeting the Golden Knights. Over in the NFL, Saints head coach Dennis Allen confirmed that Taysom Hill has fractured his ribs. he'll sustain the injury Sunday against the Falcons. And elsewhere, Browns running back Nick Chubb returned to practice for the first time since week 2 of 2023. He did suffer a knee injury that threatened his career and required multiple surgeries. Thursday night football action sees the Bucks out in Atlanta to face the Falcons, and make your way down to the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge to hang out with Lieutenant Eric for kickoff at 6:15. In baseball, it's a lone wild card game between the Mets and the Brewers, with the winner moving on to the division series. EST Afternoons continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and you're up to date.
Welcome back to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. You want to listen to us, hit us up on edmontonsportstalk.com, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio. If you want to watch us, hit us up on the EST YouTube channel. Hit up the Nasty Chat. It's a busy one today, or text us at 780-218-9999. This hour, we're going to be giving, qualifying someone for the EST flyaway to LA, and we'll be joined by Reid Wilkins in studio as well. The William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Just some housekeeping, I guess, Gager.
Yeah, sure.
You want to hang out with Lieutenant Eric? Go to the Century Casino on Fort Road today. Thursday night football, as the Buccaneers are taking on the Falcons. And I'll be honest, Gager, there's not a lot of interest in that game for myself today.
No?
But I mean, I'll dabble. But
Cousins
he doesn't. Baker Mayfield doesn't really do it for me either. I mean, Atlanta has some their running back Robinson. They got some good receivers. Yeah, I'll probably dabble a bit, but it's not something where I'm like, I need to watch this game. Also, in the CFL, the Elks will host the Saskatchewan Roughriders with their playoff lives on the line, Gager. They'll know what the BC Lions have done because they'll play on Friday as they're taking on the Calgary Stampeders. So you need the BC Lions to lose. The Elks need to win.
You already said that you think the Lions are going to figure it out here.
I think the Lions are going to win. Yeah. So but as long as the Elks keep winning here, they'll stay alive here, and they won't be, because if they lose Saturday with the BC win, they're officially eliminated. That game goes at 5:00 down at Commonwealth Stadium on Saturday. Catch Zachticum and YouTube Trev there at the tailgate. They'll be there a couple hours before? 3 hours?
Yeah. The game starts at 5, of course. 2:00, we kind of like to roll in. That's when the gates open for the tailgate. We like being there on time. Unlike Tommy, I don't know why I gave him a shot there, but we don't keep it short. But it's a chili cook-off as well. The second annual chili cook-off down at the Elks tailgate, and I think Maddie's going to be cooking up some chili for us.
I was just going to say, are we allowed to say who's cooking for EST? But I guess,
So is there the pre and post then, or is Maddie taking it off for the...
No, he's just making the chili.
He's just making it and dropping it.
And sending it with the boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Well, I hope I was able to say that.
That's a lot of... that's a lot of responsibility.
I can't...
Might have spilled the beans.
There's no beans in there, buddy.
And that's funny because
that was good.
I can't confirm there's no beans in that chili.
May have spilled the beans. Great job.
I think ESC. I don't know if I believe in Maddie's cooking, but we're going to be in tough to win that chili cook-off on Saturday, and I'm sure Zachticum's going to try them all.
Oh, I'm going to try them all for sure. There's no way I can pass up some good chili. Hopefully, we're already losing because there are no beans in our chili. But, I mean, I think the first thing I think of when I think of chili is beans. So hopefully there's some beans in some of the other chilies. It's with, if I can remember correctly, it's with the Elks herd. There's a lot.
Turf District,
of course. I can't forget them. But there are a lot of supporters and people who are a part of this event. So it's going to be a good time down there.
That's good.
Lars says it's not chili, Matt. If there's no beans, it's just hamburger soup.
Yeah, I like the beans. Whatever.
But I have heard that traditional Mexican chili, it does not have beans.
Really?
Yeah. but it's just made a little bit different than it is kind of the way we make it, more Americanized, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be the only one with no beans. Dusty will like it. And I just want to pass along, it is Hollywood night at the Elks game. So they're going to have a red carpet in the Elks fan park with a 360 camera photo booth.
Okay.
So I think they want you to dress up as characters from the 90s, movies or TV shows. Popular movie TV show clips will be used all game in contests and on the Jumbotron Creative.
Oh, to name which one it is?
Yeah,
I'd be good at that.
That's going to be really good. And then post game, they will be having the biggest fireworks show in Double E history.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you want to head down, get some tickets, check out the games. It's always good when the Riders are in town.
Yeah, no, the Holt brothers should be in full effect too, so that's always fun to watch.
Yeah, and then just to pass this along, Jet Fest, or the Gord Edgar Downey Fest, has been an annual show held in Calgary over the past few years, dated around the date of Gord's passing. It's a show built to honor the legacy of the late great frontman of the Tragically Hip. This year's show has expanded to Edmonton and will feature the Whale and the Wolf. Pretty cool, hey? And the show will be held at Midway Music Hall on Saturday, October 19th, with the proceeds from ticket sales going to the Ben Stetler Foundation and the Alberta Cancer Foundation. If you need tickets, head to jetfest.ca. Well, and the Wolf, man, bigger and bigger. One day we're not going to know them anymore.
We can't keep them in the closet anymore.
Did you see their performances?
No.
I haven't seen it either. Zach, did you see the Whale and the Wolf on the morning show?
I didn't. I was sleeping.
Okay. Joel says it's not chili, it's spaghetti sauce. Brutal, Lars says. Let's see here. Matt Hyman, have you ever added chili to a cheeseburger? That should be no bean chili in that scenario.
Chili dog.
Chili dogs are great.
Chili dogs are awesome. Like get a really nice sharp Havarti melted on top of the chili with the dog. Those are great.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. Joel says, tell Dusty to make noodles. That's a sloppy Joe. I'm a little intrigued by this chili. He should bring some into the office or tomorrow.
Well, I told him to, like, the thing with chili, though, you should probably make it now and let it sit.
He's making it tonight.
Yeah, he's making it tonight, and then it'll be perfect.
He's making it tonight, and then he's going to let it simmer all day tomorrow, and then take it there. And then he bought the boys a little Bunsen burner there, so they
I know,
can heat it up.
saw that.
And
it's a little bit more than a Bunsen burner there.
I know. I just like saying Bunsen.
Well, Walter White over here.
And tomorrow, EST will be live on location at South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Sask. So come by and say hi. All the shows will be live there, starting with Dustin Nielsen, followed by the Hangout, Oil Stream, us, and then the Reid Wilkins show with Jay Milne. Pre and post will not be on location. We'll be back here at the studios as the Edmonton Oilers close out the preseason finally against the Vancouver Canucks. Gager?
You're doing post tomorrow too, hey?
Yeah.
That'll be exciting.
It's gonna be fun, especially if they drop that game. Hernan's gonna be a little. I shouldn't be this fired up.
No, you shouldn't. But I like it.
Speaking of, have you had a chili anywhere in the city where you're like you have to go?
No.
No. Okay.
It's this may
because you don't go out to eat fine dining. I'm gonna go have a chili.
No, but the place that I when I do get chili, it's Tim Hortons.
It's pretty good there.
It's really good. You get the bun and if you know a place that has really good chili in the city, let me know. Because I go to Tim Hortons sometimes and I'm going, you know what? I'm gonna go with the chili.
It's pretty good there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna sound bad, but it's not bad. But you know who else makes good chili? Wendy's.
Oh, they do. And on that the taco salad or whatever, they put it on there. It's really good. Oh man, we're terrible.
Jason the Acadian says there's beans in my chili. Rip City Step says Zach, bring a can of beans and dump them in it. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
I don't want to ruin a man's craft. I got to test it before, and maybe I might bring a can of beans just to be sure.
Tube Sock says Texas chili has no beans. We should ask Cass.
Oh,
I think his wife's from Texas.
Yeah, she says no or whatever.
Also, Zach will make sure to have some set aside. Oh, you're responding. They're using that GIF from The Office when the guy's walking with the.
Oh, yeah.
the
I'm going to be like
Yeah.
Kevin. That's me.
Yeah, he drops it.
VR Montenegro on the Nasty Chat says, after listening to y'all talking about Maddie being a serial killer, his love of the Scott Tenorman South Park episode, I'm not going near that either. Oh, Kevin.
It would be more like Frank Costanza and him knocking it out of everyone's hands because he's got that.
Yeah. Joel says, not everyone has a 5-year-old taste buds, I think. Buckaroo says, Tim's has the worst chili. It's like hamburger soup. Wendy's, Corey B says? Yeah, you'd be surprised.
You'd be surprised, Corey. It's on top of the salad. That's how I get it.
Kelvin D says, Wendy's taco salad? The salads are surprisingly good there.
Yeah, Ian, you make a great point because they do have a lot of great food, but where is it? Dave C7 Friesen Brothers Chili and Sandwich Bar. It is unreal.
Duck Dad says, did Dak say craft or crap?
Craft. I thought about it.
What time is the chili arriving? Do you know? I might stop by. I got to try this.
Oh, you have to try
intrigued by it. Yeah.
I think Maddie's going to bring some in too, isn't he?
Well, we're not here tomorrow, so
he's going to.
I think by Monday we're not going to be. And do you know who's voting on this?
Honestly, I all I know is I'm going to have some chili that I'll be tasting. That's the only thing I know about it, and that we're bringing chili down to the EST tailgate, and we're set up right beside the Tall Boys stage. So if you guys are coming down, try Maddie's chili, please. I'll try it first if you don't trust it, and I'll show you that there's no poison or anything in it. I'm sure it'll be good.
What I told Maddie for sure was when you're seasoning salt, pepper, and garlic, it's a staple.
Oh yeah,
right?
Cumin,
yes,
chili powder.
I think he bought cumin.
Maybe a couple bay leaves, whatever. Just pull them out after.
The bay leaves are a nice touch.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, is there a restaurant like growing up that's no longer around that you wish was back?
Fuddruckers.
Oh, the best. Make your own burger?
There is one in Saskatoon.
Is there?
Yeah, that's the last one on the planet. But Fuddruckers was the best place. The shakes, you could actually get a burger like medium rare. And they would grind it all in the back. And the fries you'd walk through. That was the best place. Best milkshakes too. I loved that place. When I went to Notre Dame in Saskatchewan, I took religious studies, and the only reason I did take religious studies is because every month we would go into Regina to go help at a nursing home. I don't know, and just hang out with the old people for a while. But after that, we would go to Fuddruckers, and that was the only reason. Yeah, I got an A in that course, I think.
Fuddruckers. I remember there was one on Calgary Trail, and it's
great.
Make your own burger, and like you said, the shakes. Do you remember Maxwell Taylor's?
Never went.
You never went?
No.
Oh, the coolest restaurant, best clubhouse I ever had in my life. Like Fridays for like growing up, my parents, they never cooked on Fridays. We'd either go out to eat or they'd buy us fast food. And Maxwell Taylor's was like a staple. We'd always get the clubhouse. And the restaurant was cool because it was just filled with toys like on the wall. And they had a train that would go through the whole restaurant. Oh, it was so good. Does anyone remember Maxwell Taylor's?
Didn't it have like the sneeze guard for salad bar and stuff like that? I don't like the sneeze guard. Oh, okay.
No, it wasn't like
Golden
buffet.
Corral? Okay.
Yeah, no, there was like menu. Like it wasn't bougie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was pretty laid back. But if anyone remembers Maxwell Taylor's and the clubhouse there,
Tube Socks. My first jobs was at Fuddruckers in 1987. That's amazing. What the stories you could tell. What a great restaurant. Yeah.
VR Montenegro says Bullwinkle's, which was like Chuck E. Cheese. I had my 5th birthday.
Charles Edward Cheese. Yeah.
Rob from the Grove, Chi-Chi's. I remember Chi-Chi's.
Chi-Chi's. Yeah, there was one right on was that 36th and in the Calgary Trail there?
Yeah. It seems they're all in Calgary Trail.
They're all gone now, man. You know the one that is still the same, like, which is amazing. And my in-laws took us there the other night. Olive Garden, like it's still the same. I haven't been there in decades, and I ordered what is it called? The Tour of Italy and the salad and it tastes exactly the same. It was amazing.
The salad and the soup is bomb there. Yeah. The breadsticks. This one says, sorry, I lost Bonanza. Do you remember Bonanza?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But they had the sneeze guards too. There was some when I was down in the States, there's a lot of like trough eating in the US with those salad bars. Like it was amazing how much food was on there.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. And as a young kid it was great, but yeah, that's just a heart.
Dustin Hoffman says, Knuckled, a few back in the day at Maxwell Taylor's, good times. Corey B, I will check out Varsity. This one, Rob from the Grove, the logo looked like TGI Fridays, Hernan. Yes, it did. VR says, Chi-Chi's, a celebration of food. And Calvin C says, Country Harvest Buffet, Uncle Willie's Buffet, and Royal Fork Buffet. The only one I remember is Royal Fork.
Corey, let me know how Varsity is. I've driven past it too many times, and every time I pass, I got to check that place out. So I heard it's pretty much the same as what was there before. What was that? Or as Dusty calls it, Red Robins.
Oh, Red Robins. There's one here for Red Robins. I missed it. All you can eat fries.
Yeah, Varsity is the new place on the White Mud there. That
by the old theater.
Yeah. It's there. It's supposed to be a hamburger place, but I think they kept the fries the same.
Red Robins. That pissed me off when that happened. There's no need for that.
It's Red Robin, not Red Robins.
Robin, whatever. Big Maple says Ponderosa will always be undefeated. I've never been there. We went to Chili's when we went to Spokane. The Kessel was the bomb. Varsity is great. The cheesecake is amazing.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know.
Just got one here from William Mike Spear. Hey, Hernan, my buddies and I had so many dinners at Maxwell Taylor's before going out on weekend nights. Awesome memories. Yeah, it was Gager, man. Like, you've heard of it, obviously. You just never went in.
What? To Maxwell? Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, well, this segment went off the rails. We're talking about restaurants that no longer exist, but Fuddruckers, Maxwell Taylor's, top of the list for sure. A lot of good ones coming in. Keep those coming into the inbox at 780-218-9999 and keep the chat going on the nasty chat. Coming up next, we will get to Reid Wilkins, but it's time for the keyword Gager. The EST flyaway to LA. And it's brought to you by the 780. 780 is a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. And of course, it's a flight for 2 to LA with hotel and rental car from December 26th to December 30th. You'll watch 3 games: Clippers, Warriors, NBA, Rams, Cardinals, NFL, and Edmonton will be in either Anaheim or LA to take on the Ducks or Kings. And the key word, get ready. Are you ready, Gager?
Let's do it.
Quarters, like a quarter in a football game. Quarters with the S at the end. Send that in to 780-218-9999, and Zachticum will qualify one of you, and we'll get you on the air with Gager and myself. Coming up next, our qualifier and Reid Wilkins.
NHL preseason continues with the Red Wings against the Leafs, the Devils facing the Flyers, and the Avs meeting the Golden Knights. Tampa Bay Lightning forward Connor Geekie gets a 1-game preseason suspension for leaving the bench on an illegal line change, breaking Rule 70.2. Geekie left the bench to start an altercation in yesterday's game. In the CFL, Deontay Williams received a 1-game suspension for his tackle on Khalil Pimpleman. And in the NFL, injuries see Taysom Hill suffering a fractured rib in the game against the Falcons. Brian Robinson of the Commanders sitting out of practice with a knee injury. And the Chiefs' wide receiver Rashee Rice heading to the IR due to a knee injury. Updates on Rice's injury will come next week. Elsewhere, Browns running back Nick Chubb returned to practice for the first time since week 2 of last year and was out with a knee injury that threatened his career and required multiple surgeries. Thursday night football action sees the Bucks out in Atlanta to face the Falcons, and be sure to make your way down to the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge for the action to hang out with Lieutenant Eric for kickoff at 6:15. In baseball, it's a lone wild card game between the Mets and the Brewers, with the winner moving on to the division series. Right after the break, Reid Wilkins joins EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
Your brand deserves more than just a whisper, it deserves a buzz. At the Hive Product Marketing, they specialize in promotional products that bring the buzz. From eye-catching giveaways to unforgettable keepsakes, they got the perfect products to make your brand stand out and get noticed. Visit the Hive Product Marketing and let them create the buzz your business deserves. The Hive Product Marketing, the official merch partner of Edmonton Sports Talk. Visit them online at thehiveproductmarketing.com.
Come get your game on at The Ranch. The Ranch lets it all hang out with a championship caliber design, premier conditions, and above all, a fun laid-back experience. Get top-notch service and unmatched value every time you play at The Ranch. Think you have what it takes to go low? The best value for your golfing buck is always The Ranch. The Ranch Golf and Country Club. 10, 50, 100, and 200 round packs on sale. TheRanchGolf.com.
.25 EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Joaquin Gage, Zach Kubusch, the producer, Hernan Salas, and we're just ahead of getting our qualifier on the line. Zach will give me the thumbs up. We are joined by Reid Wilkins, host of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jim Milne. Reid, is there a restaurant or a fast food spot? Oh, you're ready to go? No. Is there a restaurant or fast food spot that no longer exists that you wish would come back?
The Louisiana Purchase.
Oh,
it's totally gone now.
Is it gone?
Yeah, the one in on 111th and 103rd Avenue got torn down, and there's now an apartment building there. But there was the other location on St. Albert Trail, and within the last year, it closed.
Ooh,
yeah, that was a great spot. So there was only one and then two, because for a while they had both. But yeah, I loved going there.
We would have our Halloween parties there all the time.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Do you remember Fuddruckers, Reid?
Yes, but I don't think I ever went.
Really?
Well, you have to remember, a lot of my childhood was not in Edmonton.
Oh,
so we couldn't just go to these places on a weeknight or whatever.
I see.
So then I didn't live in Edmonton full time until I was going to university. But yeah, Louisiana Purse. But no, I didn't go to. Is there still Bullwinkles? I didn't go there.
No, Bullwinkles is gone. Fuddruckers, there's only one left, and it's in Saskatoon.
There's only one left in the country?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Is that where it started?
It might have started in Saskatchewan because there was one in Regina. I know.
Okay.
But they were all over. I remember there was one in Coquitlam in the Lower Mainland. But yeah, they just started all shutting. I think it was partly because of the E. coli, but...
Well, just on everything.
Well, they did. They ground their own meat, and it was a bunch of 14-year-olds. I'm sure they didn't clean the grinder after each day.
Oh, probably not.
Yeah, so it was probably pretty. Everyone that, remember Mad Cow?
Yeah,
I think it started at Fuddruckers.
That's their claim to fame. Red Robin, I'm sure somebody brought up. That was sad when it went.
Yeah, that was really sad.
Funky Pickle? Do you guys remember that?
The Funky Pickle Pizza on
Yeah. It's a little exotic.
Well, there was one on 109th and Jasper too, where now the apartment building there is on the corner, right?
Yeah.
But they're totally gone?
I think so. I think so.
That's
the
sad.
Funky Pickle, I remember always getting it late, and so it was so delicious. And then I went and bought a pizza there one time during the day. Wasn't that good.
Well, it was after bar pizza.
It was after, yeah. Like I was like, this is like gourmet. Wait till you. And I got the feta spinach that I thought was just amazing. And I brought that sucker home, and it sucked.
That's hilarious.
It was situational. It was a situational pizza, just like a situational D-man.
It needed to be good one. It needed to be 3 a.m. and probably blood alcohol content at a certain level.
A few hours after you just got a shutout.
Exactly. Yeah. Shut out at the bar because someone wouldn't go home with me.
Oh,
jeez. Zach, we got our qualifier?
Yes, sir. We got Sully on the phone.
Sully. How you doing, Sully?
How's it going, guys?
Good. If you win this trip, who would you be taking with you?
Oh, I'll be taking the wife for sure.
The wife. Have you ever watched the Oilers on the road?
No, not on the road. Seen them plenty of times here, though. But I'll be looking forward to that football game.
Perfect, Sully. Well, all the best qualifying. The winner will be selected on November 29th. So congratulations. All the best. And, enjoy your weekend.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
That's the EST Flyaway to LA, proudly presented by the 780. The 780 is a homegrown local shop right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations: Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. Congratulations to Sully. Your next chance to qualify on the Reid Wilkins Show coming up from 3 to 6. Reid, a scary incident yesterday here at the EST headquarters regarding Tom Gazzola. Can you just explain what happened?
All right. Poor Tom. Tom offered me a cookie. He held out a small box of cookies, and he said, "Do you want a cookie?" And I said, "No, I better not, because of my allergy. I don't eat food that's brought or dropped off." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, good point." And then I think he smelled them or something and said, "Oh, I think these are peanut butter, so good thing you didn't have any." So I was not close to consuming the cookie. I did not touch the cookie. Tom was not forcing the cookie on me. Everything was fine. I am used to this, dealing with a nut allergy. It's not always convenient for myself and unfortunately my colleagues, because I'd never be one of those people who would say, don't bring anything in. Yeah. But I would say, look, I'm sitting here today, so don't touch this spot or my computer or things like that. When I was at Ched, I worked with a woman who also had a nut allergy. And there was a table there kind of in this common area, sort of between where the 880 room and the Ched room was. It's all going to be 880 soon.
Yeah.
And people would leave food there or baking. So she would often kind of just sneak up to my desk and she'd be like, "I baked those today." So then I knew I could help, because she was like me. She wouldn't touch anything, even if, Tim's dropped off donuts or some cookie place brought in cookies. We just wouldn't eat them because you don't know what's cross-contaminated. I remember once I was probably in grade 5, my eye got really itchy, and I started rubbing my eye, and I think it was during recess, and the teacher came in, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was kind of like, "Yeah, my eye's itchy," and she looked at me really funny, and I remember it must have been winter because I had a sweatshirt on. And I remember taking this sweatshirt, grabbing the cuff in my hand, and rubbing my eye with my entire forearm of the sweatshirt. I was so itchy. And finally the teacher said, "You got to go to the little infirmary room and we're going to call your mom." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, my eye's itchy." And I get in there, and the secretary's kind of like, "Oh, wow." And I was like, "No, my eye's itchy, whatever." And then somebody from another grade saw me, another student, but so I never saw myself, but then a couple of my friends or the people that saw me said, your eye looked like it was a special effect. The white, I guess the white was just totally puffy and swollen and hanging out, and my pupil was just a little dot. So because it just all swollen up, and I was kind of like, I got an itchy eye. So what happened was, I put together what happened. It must have been cold because we were all in at recess, or most of us.
Yeah.
And a kid at the back of the row had eaten a bag of peanuts, and he went up to throw the bag out. And as he went up, instead of walking, he put his hands on each desk and swung his legs forward. Kids will do that just to do something different. And so he touched my desk with the hand he'd eaten the peanuts with. And then I must have touched my desk and got the crumbs or whatever, or the dust on my fingers, and then touched my face. And my eye basically exploded.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you have an EpiPen?
Yeah, it's in my bag.
So who do you trust with administering this EpiPen? Because with a guy like Tom Gazzola, because I remember I grabbed that cookie and I go, peanut butter, right beside him, and then he offered you a cookie. So,
oh wait, he knew it was peanut butter.
I had one before, and I said, oh, I love peanut butter cookies.
It would have to be Waddick.
Well, if Jasmine were here, that's about it.
Do they even know the slogan? What?
I'd probably be freaked out. I'd be
You
like,
just jam
orange, orange to the thigh, blue to the sky. Who do you want now? I'm a little bit.
Oh, that Gager's fine.
Yeah, okay, good.
Well, because you've been in medical rooms and probably have had weird things done to your body. So you'd be like, I just got to stab Wilkins in the leg. It's no big deal.
That's for EST After Dark.
Well, that we should have that show. That's a great idea. EST After Dark.
Doc Dad says,
11 p.m. I used to always joke about how Ched used to have that coast to coast. So it was like 2 to 5 a.m. And I would call it the Alien Show. I think it's still on, but it was the guy that claimed he was broadcasting from some bunker in the mountains in Colorado. And he was always so convincing with his guests because he never had them on to be, okay, you have to prove it. Okay, you have a family of Sasquatches that come over for dinner every Sunday. He would be like, oh, okay. Like it was never, oh, okay, seriously, where are it was like, oh, so what do you feed them? How do they behave? Do they appreciate the meal? He was always like,
that's great.
Oh, and then the next hour it's like, I went to Egypt and I know how the pyramids were built. And he's just all in. Like every guest, like he's not trying to debunk them or get them to prove it. He's just like, okay, there's an alien with you right now. Does he want to come on the show? I would love to host a show like that. Maybe that's what we could do in our later years.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, my favorite show is The X-Files, so we can just.
I love that show.
That's great.
Doc Dad says, where is it? Sorry, I lost it here. Where are you? You can tell Reid was told by Tom to say this, or he was going to finish the job. Big Maple says, I agree. This has hostage video written all over.
No.
And Dr. Nutsy Dielson says, trust no one, Reid.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's X-Files. Tube Socks, you laugh, but I did make an EST After Dark logo. So,
let's see it. Can you email it to us?
Yeah, let's see this.
We don't have to share it publicly, but I want to see it.
The very talented Tube Socks who does all our graphics for all the shows here. He's great. Let's talk some sports.
Sure.
Elks Riders. MBT's getting the call again. Do you think the leash is short with MBT in this game?
No, he's probably playing the entire game.
Even if they're getting blown out.
I think it would have to get pretty bad. Did he not play the entire game last game?
And it was awful.
It was awful. Now, having said that, when it was 31-0, they'd hardly run any plays, which was both on the offense and the defense. That was a complete team disaster. It's too bad that the quarterback thing has become such an issue and such a distraction. It's too bad that after the team showing a lot of life to get up to 5-8 from 0-7, that now it's so bleak again. I was at the point where I was optimistic enough that I thought it was probably going to come down to the last game, and now it could end this weekend.
It could,
I think they can beat Saskatchewan. I mean, the Riders have been very up and down. And we're going to have Justin Dunk, who does the Riders pre- and post-game show, on this afternoon around 5 o'clock or 20 after 5. But, yeah, I mean, even if the Elks win, it's still a slim chance of making the playoffs. And I guess it just makes me think, and I'll probably save this more in depth, guys, for the end of the season. But I have touched on this before, both here and on my previous show. This has not been a good franchise since 2005.
Yeah.
You know, all this stuff in the last few years where people are like, well, they're not the flagship anymore, or what happened? I'm like, they haven't been the flagship franchise in 15 to 20 years. Really, as soon as they brought in the salary management system.
Yeah.
Machocha won a Grey Cup, but wasn't a great coach and GM. Richie Hall didn't do very well. Kavis did okay. Jones and Hervey had a 2-year peak. Moss had that team after, and then they fired Hervey. And really, Moss did 4 years. The last 2 years in 18-19, they weren't very good. They started both years well and did terrible in the second half in both years. Like, this hasn't been... I mean, really, it's been since the first half of 2018 since this was anything resembling a good team. And now it's just dropped off even further since we came out of the pandemic. What do we have? 3 home playoff games in 20 years? 2011, 2014, and 2015 in a division in which 40% of the teams get a home playoff game every year. So it's been a tough go. And now this year, just the distractions about the quarterback, another bad start, putting them on the back heel.
Yeah. And it's going to be an interesting offseason. Hell, it might start soon here with a president being named. We don't know, but there's speculation. Farhan had it last week that they're close. And I think that hire is extremely important because he's going to bring in or take the interim tag off the 2 guys that are doing the job right now. So it's going to be fascinating.
Well, and you've heard me say this, hire the right employees and then stay out of the way. I mean, the Bombers went through it, and then they finally got, I guess, Walters and O'Shea and let them build, and now they've been good. And I guess, maybe when we're talking about this on EST After Dark when it debuts in 2037, Gager, how shocking was the second Chris Jones tenure?
Very shocking.
I mean, 4-14, 4-14.
That was
0-5. Like, he did... There might even be in worse condition than when he took over.
Are you with Matt where it's
Josh Brown's agent? Do they have the same agent?
They might. Where he's just a better coach than a GM. Or do you see it kind of both ways? Because in Hamilton, he's having some successes.
But he's just defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, is he better suited to just do that?
I don't know. I think for some reason, him and Ed, it just clicked at the right time.
Yeah.
And let's face it, speaking of quarterbacks, they got 13 from BC. And you got to credit Wally Buono because Buono could have kept them. And, you've probably heard this too, Hernan. It's kind of out there that Wally said this guy can be a star player and he needs to play. And he was going to trade him to Edmonton or Winnipeg. And he wound up trading him to Edmonton because those 2 teams needed a quarterback at the time. But, yeah, it's... I don't know which Jones is better at. I think he was good at finding guys. Like, he found Walker. I mean, that was Darrell Walker. That was from one of his camps.
Willie Jefferson.
And Hervey made some good moves at the time, too. So, for some reason, those 2 guys together. And then I think with Riley, because Riley wasn't going to do what McAdoo wanted all the time. Because McAdoo was truly a bad offensive coordinator, which we saw once he didn't have a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating...
Sorry for being so negative.
No,
it's okay.
It's the reality of the Double E. I mean, we all want good things for them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, of course. And when you go back to 2005, I think you and Matty always go back and you bring up the home playoff games. It's only been 3 in 20 years.
Yeah, because even in 05, they didn't host a playoff game.
Yeah.
They hosted in 04, lost to Saskatchewan in the fake punt game on 3rd and 23 or 22 or whatever.
I was at that game, yeah.
Yeah, and then they played road games in 04. So I think in 2011 they hosted Calgary in the West Semi, hosted, I think, Sask in the West Semi in 14. And then really one of the greatest playoff matchups of all time, 2 14-4 teams played in the West semifinal. And they crushed Calgary in that game. I know it was 14 points or 16 points, but they were ahead by 30 or 32, and Calgary got some late touchdowns. So I know 1 year was lost to the pandemic, but it's 2024 to not have been able to finish in the top 2 in your division.
Yeah.
Since 2015, that's quite poor.
Yeah.
And this was the year because Winnipeg started slow. BC's now, going down a pretty scary path. Saskatchewan was winless in 6. Calgary struggling, and you would hope this was the year they'd make that jump. And listen, they're still alive. They have to win on Saturday.
Yes.
And we'll know what BC does on Friday. I'm pretty sure, if I'm a betting man, BC is going to beat Calgary. So Edmonton has to win and keep pace. If not, they're officially eliminated. You will be at the game?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to the game. Yeah, absolutely.
Will you try Iwanix chili with no beans?
TBD.
Is it because you don't like chili? Or
no, I like chili, but we usually don't go too far ahead of time.
Oh, okay,
we usually time it so we're there just before kickoff, so we're not just sitting in the cold for too long.
Going to talk to you. Oilers, the big topic is the defense. Is your level of concern at Gager or at Hernan level? Because he's more relaxed. I'm a little...
I don't think my level of concern would ever be as high as you on anything. I think that let's see how they do when the games count, though it is concerning if you're employing one or two people who are not yet qualified for that level. I will say this about Brown, and I said this on our show yesterday. You know, you also have to give him time, hopefully, to improve.
Yeah.
And maybe that's going to be at practice. Maybe that'll be in Baco. Let's not, I will say to everybody, let's not write off the whole 3-year contract because of 6 exhibition games. Okay? Now, I'm not saying don't be concerned or don't be critical, but you also have to give people an opportunity to get better or find their footing. I'm not saying he's going to do it. Trust me, I'm not promising that, but let's remember that as an option here.
That's what I'm doing with Hernan right now.
We're giving him 10. We're not giving Josh Brown. We're giving the D-Corps 10 games to start. That's it.
And then extreme and absolute panic.
Yes. And then it's like, go get Victor Hedman. I'm just kidding.
What do you think of this, Reid? A little glimpse.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that's
it's pretty good.
Logo. Yeah,
it's
pretty good.
Make it flash and stuff.
Sorry, we can't show you all.
No.
Yeah. When we bring in that show, we'll be able to expose the great graphic by Tube Sucks. But we got to go here. One more segment to go on EST Afternoons. It's 2:44 here, Reid. Thank you so much. Do you want to tee up your show?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the extended McDavid footage.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We'll have Marc Lajoie from the Golden Bears Blue Line. They open the regular season this weekend. Yeah, you'll know that family, obviously. Yep. Justin Dunk is on, like I mentioned, and we're going to have Cowboy Cole to talk about the Canadian finals.
Nice.
Very unpredictable segment coming up. Yeah.
Love it.
The Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne from 3 to 6. Keep it locked here on EST. Let's get to a sports update with Zachticum.
NHL preseason sees the Red Wings against the Leafs, the Devils facing the Flyers, and the Avs battling out against the Golden Knights. Lightning forward Connor Geekie gets a 1-game suspension for leaving the bench on an illegal line change to start an altercation. In the CFL, Deontay Williams received a 1-game suspension for his tackle on Khalil Pimpleman. NFL injuries has Taysom Hill suffering fractured ribs against the Falcons. Brian Robinson of the Commanders and Joe Mixon of the Texans sitting out of practice. Rashee Rice of the Chiefs also moves to the injury reserve due to a knee injury. Elsewhere, Browns running back Nick Chubb returned to practice for the first time since week 2 of 2023. Chubb was out with an injury that threatened his career and required multiple knee surgeries. For Thursday night football, the Bucs are out in Atlanta to face the Falcons, and you can make your way down to the Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge to hang out with Lieutenant Eric with kickoff at 6:15. In baseball, it's the Mets and Brewers out in Milwaukee with the winner moving on to the division series. After the break, it's the final segment of this Thursday edition of EST Afternoons. I'm Zachary Kubusch, and now you're up to date.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton, 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. advice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oiler fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
EST afternoons. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, Zachticum, Edmonton Sports Talk. Static free since 23. It's been a fun show. Big shout out to Reid. He brought the heat on the Elks there.
Well, he said he was going to wait till the end of the season to give something, and he gave a lot of it. So thank you, Reid.
I can't imagine what's going to come at the end of the season.
This is, but he laid it out. Yeah. You know, like when it made me think about when I, as a kid, the Double E were the cream of the crop of the CFL. They were just they were the standard, I would say, of the CFL. They were unbelievable.
You couldn't compete with them.
No.
Like, it was just crazy. And shout out to YouTube Trev, who said, sup, jabronis, on the good old nasty chat.
Nice.
But Reid's got a fun show. Marc Lajoie, player for the Bears. They're going to have Cowboy, I can't remember his name.
Cowboy Cole.
Cowboy Cole, yeah. That's going to be a fun show. They always do a great job. From 3 to 6, make sure to keep it locked here on EST. This day in sports history, Gager. Check this one out. 1995. OJ is acquitted.
Oh, yeah. That was
what a wild time, man.
That morning, I've told this before, but maybe you haven't heard it.
I haven't.
We were practicing.
Okay.
And there was a big thing. We're all watching it before, but we're out there in practice. And then halfway through practice, I look over at the bench, and Joey Moss is standing on the bench, like on the top, and waving his arms. If you can't see, I'm like a bird, right? He's waving his arms, signaling us that OJ's free. That's how he did.
Okay.
So that's what Joey did to let us all know that the juice was loose.
2001, Paul Coffey announces his retirement after 21 season, 4 Stanley Cups, and 3 Norris trophies.
Wow.
What a player, eh?
Yeah, even funnier guy. Like,
seems like he's a good time.
Really good guy. He's very dry-witted and stuff like that. Like at the the Wall of Fame ceremony last year with Doug Waite.
Yeah.
It was for Charlie Huddy, obviously, and Koff was there, and before the game, and we're coming back out, and Koff was standing in the back and just congratulating Charlie, whatever, and I think Struds goes to Koff. He goes, plus 30, like whatever it was, plus 46. Koff, what the hell? And he goes, well, I had to cover for him every time. I was back covered. That's how he got that way. Like, he was saying how he was when Koff was just gone all the time, but he had that stalwart. God, could they use a Charlie Huddy right about now?
Oh, Greg Muni.
Oh,
yeah. You know what? Last year for the Heritage Classic game, the Oilers were like 1-3 at the time.
Yeah.
And they weren't playing very. In pregame, they interviewed Paul Coffey, and this is before he's coaching. He's just like an advisor. And they asked him a question, how did they turn it around? And he was just kind of like, I don't know. Like, but the way he delivered his answer was so funny. Like, just kind of like, oh, it was just great.
His humor is great. We did just a charity game up north in Slave Lake, and they had a little hot stove going, and one of the questions to Koff was, today's game, it's different. Well, how many points? Well, what do you think you could do in today's game? And he goes, well, I'd probably anywhere between 70, 80 points. And they're taken aback. I goes, 70, 80? And he goes, well, I'm 53 years old. He's saying now.
Oh, that's great. 1995, a 3-team trade. The Avalanche acquire Claude Lemieux. The Devils acquire Steve Stumpy Thomas. And the Islanders acquire Wendell Clark. What a trade.
That's a huge trade.
Because Lemieux went over there and won a couple cups, put Draper through the boards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great documentary.
Yeah. Fought Mike. Was it Mike Vernon that attacked him? No. McCarty?
McCarty.
Yeah.
Vernon goalie.
And
but he fought Waugh that time.
That's a great brawl. Great little brawl. And birthdays today, former Oilers coach Todd McClellan. 57.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no way. Where's he now? Where is he?
I think he's a free agent right now.
Is he still a free agent?
Yeah, because he got let go last year, I think 3/4 into the season.
But was he
half.
consulting somewhere too? Or was it? I thought he was consulting with.
Because he interviewed for the
Columbus
job.
But then didn't Woody went to Philly to consult with?
He just wanted to hang out with the coaching staff there with Torts and figure that all out. So, it's interesting. We'll see if he lands anywhere.
I wonder if they team up again.
Ooh, that's a good one, yeah.
I wonder.
I'd see Woody kind of seeing I want to be a head coach, though.
I think I'm sure that there was employment opportunities for him, but
not head
who
coach.
knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like he wants to be the head boss, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
I wonder what happened there. Do you think we've asked this question before, but do you think if he stays, the Oilers still go to the between
I love these what ifs, eh? Because according to players and what we heard from reports and all that from media, that he hadn't lost the room.
No, that's what I mean.
So what was it? Was it strategy based, scheme based? Was it because it's not like Knobloch came over and reinvented the wheel?
No.
Do you know what I mean? It was still
even that, he won his first game and then lost another 3 and then went nuts.
Yeah, because they went on that trip where they go to Tampa, Florida, Carolina. That's a good question, man. Holy smokes. Maybe that team needed a wake-up call, and maybe that's where it came. I don't know. Because he was getting really... I found Woody getting really chippy with the media. Obviously, he was listening and reading the articles and checking the socials because he was just not... He was just being a real D, you know?
Really?
And I don't know if that's the way he was handling it with the players because he never really called out anyone. He'd always say, we just need to be
always
better.
Protected guys. But of course, it can be completely different behind the curtains when you get back there, what he does. The one thing I heard mostly with Woodcroft was he was very detailed oriented, almost to a fault, I think. There was too many things he was trying to implement because that's what I heard.
Yeah.
And then when... Special K comes in and starts coaching. He said, I simplified it. I gave them 1 or 2 things. There's not much I can do, but gave them 3 things to focus on. I didn't want to overwhelm them. And it seemed like he just simplified the game a little bit. And with the addition of Coffey saying, make plays. Right, let's make some plays.
But we'll find guys that can.
Oh yeah, and
because you saw it. You saw even Vinny making good little passes.
Saw it right away, man.
Jason LeDuc says, "I can't believe you guys don't think key pieces of that room gave up on him." Well, we don't know that. We can all assume. I mean, the Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse are never going to come out and say that. I mean, but reports from people that are close to it and have reported on it that they hadn't. Maybe they were. Listen, not every player is going to like the coach and the way he does things. That's just not.
I lost the room. There's only certain places to lose the room. What I didn't even know what that means. I've hated some coaches. Usually the ones that never played me, right? But but even some of them that didn't play me, I still had respect for them.
Of course.
So
yeah.
And I've even in teams that you could actually say that the coach lost the room. The guys still bought into the system and did it's It's not like it was the Wild West and we just did what we wanted. That would have been ridiculous, right?
There has to be some order, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
No, it's...
That's an interesting question. We'll keep going at it tomorrow. Fun show tomorrow. We got it all booked up. We will be joined by Daniel Nugent-Bowman to talk Oilers as they get ready to play the Vancouver Canucks. And I got a nice little surprise for Gager. I'm not going to say it right now, but make sure to tune in. And the EST crew will be live on location at South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan tomorrow from 6 to 6. Make sure you come by. We'll have pre- and post-game shows from the studio. Tom Gazzola, Matt Cassian, and myself. That gets going at 7. If you want to hang out with Lieutenant Eric, go visit him at Century Casino on Fort Road for Thursday Night Football as the Bucks take on the Atlanta Falcons. Been a fun show. Big shout out to Ben Pope and Reid Wilkins. For Zachticum and Joaquin Gage, I'm Hernan Salas. We'll talk with you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. The Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne is up next.